Brother's Christmas conversation with my girlfriend ended our relationship. They picked him over me because they believed he would be a better anniversary kid. But revenge isn't great. This is how my brother Kevin and I have gotten along for 3 years. It appears we'll never get along again. They brought Kevin to their anniversary celebration a few days ago despite saying they would support me till Kevin apologized. Kevin 26M and I 30M never got. Being kids and still didn't as adolescents. We hated each other. After moving out we were nicer and talked less, but we still didn't like one another. Then he did something unforgettable at our parents' Christmas celebration 3 years ago. At the time I brought my girlfriend. We had been together for 4 years. I told my folks to invite her parents since I was proposing that night. She attended all my family occasions when we started dating, so Kevin knew we were serious. He probably didn't know I'd propose. Why should he hit on her and make her leave me? It doesn't matter if I hadn't planned it. Since he convinced my girlfriend, you must suppose he and I are no longer conversing. Luckily, my wife isn't foolish. My wife Bella told me about Kevin's attempt soon after. She stated he grabbed her while I was chatting to other family members and told her he loved her. Just say yes or hint at him. He treated me better than I could. She was terrified. I called Kevin soon away after hearing what occurred. Even though the gathering was packed, I shouted him out, just venting my fury, a big dispute about that. We had been friendly till then, so that surprised me. He shouldn't break his three-way and worsen matters. Even though I informed him he had, he said I was mistaken since he admired Bella and her work. She liked her vibe and thought she could do better than me. Things became so hot that I struck him in the face. If we hadn't separated, the dispute would have gotten physical. I quit after this event. My parents were informed that I would no longer speak to him or attend his gatherings. That was all I could say because he was rude to me and our wife. My close friends and relatives who witnessed our large argument that day cut him off since they understood he was wrong. In recent months they told me he had informed them, and other close relatives he was sorry for everything. Other individuals and my parents may have forgiven him and given him another opportunity to improve. I find it hilarious that he apologized after messing with me. He didn't apologize to my wife for upsetting her that day. Even worse, I didn't know anything about this until I heard Kevin would be invited to their 35th anniversary celebration. I discovered it by chance while making sure all invited guests received offers. They probably wouldn't inform me till the celebration. When I spotted Kevin on the guest list, I alerted my folks. They informed me he phoned family members and them a few months ago and requested forgiveness, so they exonerated him. He was invited to the party. They saw him anyhow, even if I didn't want to. They knew I wouldn't go if they asked Kevin. I hadn't moved on because I couldn't forgive what occurred years ago. Definitely not about my wife. They had to choose between Kevin, myself, and Bella for the party. As they had already invited Kevin, they got irritated and told me I was making things difficult for them. Then it would be. They were disrespectful not to offer. They told me I was seeing things since whatever occurred was finished, and they didn't want me to worry about it. When I refused to go to the party with Kevin, they gave up. They said it was okay after that. Bella and I may not go to the party since they'd rather bring Kevin, who's been lovely to them. He tried to reconcile, which made sense. He probably was. After, I hung up and never spoke to them again after that. 2 days ago, their Bella house hosted the celebration after a few weeks. I choose home viewing. They didn't disturb us, and we had a better time alone, so we didn't talk to them again until they apologized. Due to Kevin's deception, they still think I can assist them. I think my dad worked from home because he was in his office the day after the party. He saw several documents were missing. These critical papers included his company's upcoming financial quarter plans. It contains financial data and a list of key clientele. If stolen, this might hurt the firm. He had a digital duplicate of everything, but he worried Kevin would worsen matters if he acquired these papers. Thinking about it, I didn't understand why my folks were so confident Kevin took those documents. Anyone could have done it. This morning they phoned me to assist them find Kevin, who they believed stole these papers. When I questioned how they knew, they stated Kevin had. He presumably put his business card on the desk to inform our dad. They suffered when their competition recruited Kevin for a few months. Now this was the greatest commercial spying method. Kevin, their kid, didn't need security checks. They also didn't know Kevin's work when they inquired. When asked where he worked, he stated he was between jobs and quickly changed the subject. Since they hadn't heard from him, I had to assist them find him. He took the papers. In the event that these papers were stolen and misused, the board might terminate my dad. That worried my dad. I didn't understand why they hadn't called the police. I expected him to be arrested for theft. My mom said she didn't want to go to the police station with us because Kevin may get in trouble. She needed just talk to him and get those papers back. I didn't understand why they were contacting me when Kevin and I didn't get along. I was their final hope. So I told him that what occurred was sad and that they should stop pestering me and go to the police. First, I thought I couldn't assist until my mom informed me my profession made me the only one who could. To clarify, I'm an ethical hacker testing computer security. Doing the right thing is my main responsibility. I do it, so I won't do internet crimes. My mom was cruel when she said I could hack his account, find him, and persuade him to talk to them. I still recalled how cruel they were when they claimed they would rather have their better son at the party than me. Their goal was to exploit my position and skills. They're supposedly better. They needed my aid since son lied. That benefits them. I raged at them and said I wouldn't help since they made things worse. They may do the right thing or get in trouble and exonerate Kevin. I couldn't be unjust when I ordered them to contact the police since Kevin knew his parents wouldn't punish him for leaving his business card on the desk. They were dumb to let him off the hook. My advice seemed unimportant. When I realized I didn't need to talk to them because I hung up because we'd dispute more. I would stop them. Then they texted me to say they needed my help and wanted to chat. I texted them back to say I'd thought about what to say and wouldn't break any regulations to help. My mother then left me a voicemail weeping, stating she felt like both of her boys had abandoned her and couldn't believe I was this to them. As the elder man, I should be more open-minded, they said. They wanted me to know they weren't blaming me, brother, since he was still linked despite his misdeeds. I didn't understand why they let Kevin cheat so badly but didn't tell him no. They kept asking for my aid instead of calling the police. They were too weak to accomplish it alone and cared more about their family than themselves. My voice note answer informed her I didn't feel sorry for them since they were dumb and deserved it. Their fault. Kevin shouldn't have been trusted after my experience. However, they gave him another opportunity. Even though he lied, they valued him as a family member over money. After failing to defend themselves, they were dumb to expect I would feel sorry for them. I received that message. If they weren't bold enough to protect themselves, I wouldn't. Because I couldn't take it anymore, I stopped them. A few hours later, they contacted me from another number. I told them they didn't deserve it since they just wanted to trust their child. They said I was harsh. They stated it was their obligation to forgive their kids' mistakes and they wouldn't be punished. I did awful things, but they claimed they would always forgive me. I shouldn't say they deserved it, because they gave Kevin another opportunity, chance. I should have informed my parents I wouldn't assist, and that they were blessed to have my brother. I didn't want to talk to my parents, so I blocked their other phone. Even after much had transpired, several of you in the notes indicated you hadn't apologized. They told me numerous things, but not I'm sorry. You're right, I owe them nothing. I needn't feel sorry for or aid them. They gave Kevin another opportunity despite my claims that I didn't trust him and knew everything about him. Fair enough, they gave me another opportunity, but I did worse than he did. You folks inquired why they gave me a second opportunity and absolved me. I was conned just after college. First time I made money, I invested it. It failed, and I was tricked. Not sure what that was. They offered me money for a few months to pay my rent and other costs. Since I wasn't aiming to do anything wrong, I don't think it was fair to relate my actions to Kevin's. I didn't want to lose money by making that error. Kevin, however, did something different. He picked up Bella when she was with me, knowing it was horrible for everyone. My parents knew he was bad. Some felt he was the better kid. He spent time with them and was pleasant, so they liked him. They know why he did what he did. They didn't apologize, they simply wanted me to feel awful so I'd help them. That wouldn't happen. I usually prioritize my ideals and beliefs at work. I stopped my aunt too, uncle and other loved ones who forgave my brother. After realizing I should have been at the party, I realized they hadn't asked me why. If I were them, I'd contact them. Not to sound pampered, I suppose this changed my perspective since I now realize my role in their lives. I'll remember. Them I halted. I don't mind because I have Bella. It's irrelevant if I don't talk to family. I used to appreciate them, but now my mental and physical wellness is more important. They're unnecessary if they're unhealthy. I prioritize myself over relationships, serenity for my family. Belle told me she was delighted I broke off my parents because she couldn't believe they did the same thing with Kevin, even though he pulled her aside and attempted to talk to her discreetly about it. He insisted that he was the best option even though she said she didn't want to talk to him and wanted to go back to the Christmas party. I would have kept that even if Bella wasn't my wife. Such treatment of women is creepy. The worst thing was that my parents didn't realize we needed to apologize, despite being instructed. They probably weren't thinking, so, I don't know, no matter what. No matter what, Bella and I have resolved to stop talking to my family. Since I last spoke to them, it hasn't happened in over 4 days. No one has contacted me since, but I'm sure they will. Whether I ask for aid or not, they'll make me appear horrible. It disturbs me. I'm mentally prepared for it, and know what to do if it happens. Change 2. My parents sent me these emails today, 3 days after my previous letter. I was surprised when they apologized for everything. I expected them to disturb me. I learned that they were too terrified and anxious about what to do to focus that day. They didn't realize how awful they were with me since everything was a blur. They apologized for everything because they realized I didn't deserve it. In the email, they stated they contacted Kevin one final time and informed him they had to call the police because they had no option. He was also informed they knew who took the papers but wouldn't act since family and image are too important. He intentionally placed the card on the desk to hurt them. They knew who did it but didn't act since they valued their reputation and family. They now prioritized their business over others' opinions. He hadn't replied. After some deliberation, they were certain. They were giving him one final chance to submit those paperwork, which was okay. Finally responding, Kevin agreed with them on everything. He hoped to avoid difficulties by leaving that card there so they wouldn't notify the police. He just wanted to feel good about being right. He mocked them since he didn't work for a competition. After receiving that message, my dad examined the card and found it to be false. Fearful, he hadn't seen it before. But they didn't need to party since my brother had a bizarre idea to convince my parents to give him money. He informed them he wasn't working for their rivals just to show them he still had the documents. He understood sharing such knowledge with competitors would be lucrative. They might alternatively pay him the same and obtain their data immediately. He would have sold this information to someone else, so giving it to the police wouldn't have helped. Their competitors would still have it, thus it wasn't justified. They had to offer him a lot of money or return the stolen data. If they reported him to the authorities, their rivals may still acquire the stolen information. They could not afford this. They lacked the. They couldn't afford his request, which produced problems. It would be possible, but it would disrupt their budgets and require withdrawals from their retirement savings. After years of financial problems, he seemed to be acting this way. However, his family had not forgiven or spoken to him. He retaliated this way. I must admit his strategy was good. I always felt lucky that my parents handled it. After reading that email, I told him I forgive them but need some space from them, since I don't want to see them again soon. No idea how they'd respond, but a few minutes after I wrote the email, they said they got it and apologized for their approach. They were rude and should have realized Kevin wasn't a good man. They also apologized to Bella and said they shouldn't have talked to Kevin or treated him like nothing following his behavior. After a few months, he questioned whether they were still together. When told they were together, he seemed unhappy. That should have alerted you to his creepiness and shut him off again. They didn't because he was there. They apologize, but they realize it's not an excuse. They should be proud of their apology and move on. I hope their situation improves. Whatever, I'll keep away. I'm delighted they understand what's best for my wife and me. Not coming either. We may improve our friendship later, but not now. 3. Hello everybody. Good news, Bella and I are having a kid after 2 years of marriage. We were really thrilled to share it. We learned 4 months ago and just posted it on social media. My previous post was over 10 months ago. I haven't spoken to my parents in a while. After hearing that, they phoned me to say they'd like to get in touch if we were all right. They gave us room and didn't contact us for 10 months since we said we'd communicate when we were ready. After becoming pregnant, we forgot about it. Anyway, I debated letting them back in. After discussing it, we resolved to attempt to reconcile before the baby was born. Since we were having our first kid, we wanted to forget the past. I saw no reason to deny my parents another chance if they could prove they had changed. Despite my earlier statement about second chances, I want my child to know both sets of grandparents. I want to attempt it even if it fails. Family reunification is our goal. I was also informed that you provided Kevin the money he requested and returned his stolen data. One of their adversaries was informed of his findings, and they hired a lawyer to ensure he hadn't retained anything. It's against the contract, therefore he'd be in trouble. That no longer hurts them. They may have handled it poorly, but that's their decision. Kevin is no longer in anyone's life, which is excellent. He should avoid us. Sure, everything will be all right. I'm excited to be a dad. Reading books and raising Bella are my life. The two of us are thrilled. My family's improvement makes me happy too. Gently push me. Things may improve.